The format for telling a story tends to be black and white. You have a hero character who is strong and will defend his friends no matter what. He'll save the day and prove that he's a true hero. Followed by another character who's the villain of the story. The big bad of the game, who's out to destroy the innocent and bring destruction to the world. Sometimes his ways can be just, but most of the time they're usually doing it for their own personal gain. In Clair Obscur Expedition 33, this isn't really the case. You see, throughout most of the game, you'll assume Renoir is the game's main villain. It makes sense, right? I mean, he does kill almost all of Expedition 33 within seconds of them landing on the beach, and, spoilers for the end of Act 1, kills Gustave. For those who have beaten all of Clair Obscur and have seen both endings, know that labeling someone a villain isn't that simple. Both characters have their own valid reasons for what they do, but what if I were to tell you that they might not be the true villains of this story? I want to take you through a breakdown of almost every character in this game and see if I can figure out who the true villain of this story is. So, let's start at the beginning. Painted Renoir. Let's start with the obvious, which is Painted Renoir. Like I mentioned before, Renoir for all of Act 1 and most of Act 2 is the cause of the most suffering for Expedition 33. When Expedition 33 finally arrives at the continent, they run into Renoir, where the group's commander Alan tries to speak to him because it's been so long since they've seen a man this old. Renoir ignores him and, well... Renoir is also the reason why the team loses Gustave, which I've never forgiven him for that. Now, even though Renoir has caused all these events, it's not like he did this without cause. When the fracture happened, Renoir's wife Elaine went missing and the paintress suddenly appeared. He decided to travel to the continent to find her. Renoir becomes the commander of the very first expedition, Expedition 0, with his son Verso. Upon reaching the monolith, Renoir runs into his daughter, Clair, where she explains that the world they live in is just a canvas that was created by the real version of his son. The Clair that is explaining all of this to him isn't even his real daughter. She is the Clair from the real world. Clair's plan was to wipe out all of Expedition 0, however, Renoir and Verso find out that they are immortal due to the paintress gifting it to them and finding out that the paintress is his wife, Aline. Renoir and Verso return back to Lumiere, but the people there become suspicious of them since they're the only survivors, so they decide to head back to the continent. Knowing the truth of the canvas, Renoir realizes that every year more and more expeditioners will keep showing up to try and kill the paintress. If the paintress dies, then so will this canvas. And Renoir and Verso decide to stop any expeditioners who will try to kill their family. Throughout the years of killing expeditioners, Renoir and Verso have a falling out and go their separate ways until Verso joins Expedition 33. Up until the last battle, Renoir is pleading with Verso to stop this and join him, and even the last thing he says is that he loves his family. Painted Renoir is not a villain. He loves his family, and he will do anything to make sure they stay alive. He doesn't find enjoyment in killing expeditioners. He ignores them when they try to talk to him, because there's no point. He's been through the same song and dance so many times that he tries to kill them as quick as possible. Even when he kills Gustave, he does it in 2 shots. The Painted Renoir loves his family and wants to keep his family alive, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. The paintress, Aline. The paintress, she has to be the villain, right? I mean, it's the entire reason why our characters go to the continent to try and reach the monolith and defeat the paintress, so another gommage never has to happen. Each one of our characters has lost family and loved ones because of the paintress. Sorry, but I hate to break it to you, but the paintress isn't our villain of the story either. The paintress is a woman better known as Aline de Sandre. She is the mother of the real Clair, Verso, and Alicia. When her middle child, Verso, died in a fire, it absolutely destroyed her. She doesn't understand how to handle grief or losing her son, and can only think of one thing to do in order to keep holding on to him. The real Verso is the creator of the canvas our characters live in, and when a canvas is made, a piece of their soul is in it. Eileen, understanding that this is all she has left of her son, she decides she will live in the painting and create versions of her family within it. Eileen's husband, Renoir, the real Renoir, not the one I mentioned earlier, knows that if Eileen were to keep staying in this canvas, it will kill her. But Eileen in the painting is too powerful. Renoir then asks his oldest daughter, Clair, with help of getting Eileen out. Renoir then for a whole year in the canvas will absorb enough chroma to then wipe out a certain amount of people, ticking down till it reaches 0. You see, when the paintress was counting down a number on the monolith, it was a warning to the people of Lumiere, warning them that these people only have a certain amount of time until Renoir were to wipe them out. Eileen is a mother who is grieving and just wants to still stay connected to her son. Now, we can have the argument that this isn't the best way to be coping with something like this, and you're 100% correct. However, forcing her out of the canvas and Renoir then trying to destroy the one connection she has with her son isn't the best way to be doing this either. It's clear Eileen is taking this the hardest out of her whole family, but she needs love and support, not tough love and told to just get over this. Her family needs her, but I don't think they understand how much she needs them as well. The curator, Renoir. Alright, great. We've established that Renoir is the cause of the gommage, so he clearly is the villain. He's the one who caused so many families to suffer, all to just get his wife out of the canvas. Sorry, but he's not the villain of this story either. Renoir de Sandre is the father of Clair, Verso, and Alicia, and when his middle child Verso died in a fire, it caused a rift in his family. Renoir, understanding that no matter what, there was no way to bring his son back, he was ready to move on. But his wife Eileen and his daughter Alicia were grieving the hardest. Alicia, their youngest daughter, was burned in the fire, causing her to have burnt marks on her face, lose an eye, and also the fire got caught in her throat so she can't speak. You see, outside of this canvas, there seems to be a conflict going on between the painters, which is what the de Sandre family are, and people called the writers. It's not explained in the game who these writers are or what this conflict is, but they're the reason for Verso's death. Renoir needs Eileen out of the canvas so they can finally grieve together and help Clair with the conflict with the writers. Renoir knows that destroying the canvas is the only way him and his family can move on, so he's going to do whatever it takes to get his wife out. Even though Renoir wants to destroy the canvas, he's 100% aware of what this means. This destroys the last connection with his son, and Renoir also sees the people of Lumiere as real people. He feels terrible knowing he has to destroy all these lives. But if it means that his family can finally let go and grieve over their son and brother together, then he's willing to do whatever it takes. Renoir asks help from Clair to create something called nevrons to help kill any expeditioners. Killing the expeditioners from a nevron will seal the chroma inside of them, making sure Eileen is unable to get it. Renoir will be able to store enough chroma and slowly get rid of the people of Lumiere. He knows that Eileen is a much stronger painter than he is, so if getting rid of her creations is a way to get her out of the painting, then so be it. Renoir sees that Expedition 33 is close to defeating the paintress and aids them with becoming something called the Curator. After Expedition 33 defeats the Axon, he creates a weapon for Mayal so they can reach the monolith and fight the paintress. If becoming a monster is what Renoir has to do in order to save his wife and family, then he will stop at nothing to do it. Clair. Alright, so it's gotta be Clair, right? I mean, I just told you she's the reason for creating the nevrons, so Renoir can become strong enough to gommage the people of Lumiere. I'm pretty sure at this point you know where I'm going with this. Clair is the oldest sister of the Desandre family and the strongest of the 3 siblings. However, she doesn't have the same empathy for her creations as her brother and sister do. We know from stories the painted Verso tells that the real Verso and Clair used to come to the canvas all the time and play together. Clair even created a friend for her inside of the canvas named Francois, and Verso created Esquier. Clair seemed to be closer to Verso, but once the two started to grow up, they started to see the world a bit different. Clair kept honing in on her painting powers, while Verso wanted to do more with music. This seemed to cause a rift in the family and played into Clair and Verso growing more apart. Little is known about how Clair felt after Verso's passing, but from the few scenes we see of her, she seemed to move on pretty fast. Since both of her parents' time has been taken up by Verso's canvas, Clair has been left to handle the conflict with the writers. In one of the attempts to hide the painting, she sends her sister Alicia in. Alicia, being the weakest of the siblings, ends up getting trapped within the canvas and ends up living a new life in there, unaware of her old life outside of the canvas. Clair, looking into the canvas, sees this happens and decides to leave her sister in there since she's just been getting in the way lately. Clair, to me, suffers from the older sibling carrying the weight of her family trope, and there's a few things in the game that give this away. While Expedition 33 is traveling, they see that an axon has been destroyed. Renoir is the creator of the axon and represents each one of them as a member of his family. The Reacher axon represents Alicia. She is the smallest axon and has one eye. Renoir created this axon in hopes to show Alicia that even though what had happened to her is tragic, that one day she can still reach the sky. The Visage has the same battle style as Verso and even uses similar weapons as him. This axon is known as He Who Guards Truth with Lies, which is basically the painted Verso's entire existence. He lies about so much from Expedition 33 just to try to get what he wants. The Siren represents Eileen. She dances to trick the characters and shows them the things that they want most, even though it's impossible. Just like how Eileen paints in this fake world to have the life she wants. Finally, there's the Hauler that represents Clair. Expedition 33 doesn't get to fight the Hauler since it's dead by the time we see it, but its corpse is seen carrying a large city on its back. And when we enter the real Desandre Manor, we can see a painting of the axon and see a better image of the Hauler and the city she carries. Since this axon is supposed to be Clair, it's that Renoir knows that she feels like she carries the whole world on her back. She's not allowed to buckle and break, and has to keep carrying on all of her family's problems to try and fix them without making a mistake. Does that make her a villain? Being forced to endure what's going on with the writers while her family goes through this insufferable loop. No wonder during the Verso ending of the game and they're having a funeral for Verso, she's the first to leave. Clair had to mourn a long time ago and just wants to get back to what she has to finish. Alicia Mael. Alicia is the youngest sibling of the Desandre family, and when it comes to her painting abilities, it didn't seem like she had much talent for it. When walking around the manor, you can find a wall that has paintings done by each one of the family members. All of them are huge, beautiful paintings, while Alicia's is the smallest, since that's the one her mother found to be suitable enough. It seems when it came to her painting abilities, Alicia was the weakest out of her siblings and tends to stay in her room and read. It's not explained how she got involved with the writers, but doing so caused her to start a fire in the manor and tried to kill herself. Verso seemed to notice this was happening and saved Alicia. However, Alicia still got badly damaged. She lost her voice and an eye, and her body was severely burnt. During her time with the real Verso, she liked to sing while he played the piano, but she now lost that one connection she had with her brother. Clair convinced Alicia to enter the canvas to try to get their mother out, but in doing so, she became trapped within the canvas and began a new life in there. In the canvas, she is born as a baby by 2 parents who name her Mael. Mael's new parents become Gommage, where she is jumped from home to home, each family with the same fate as her parents. Mael was an outcast in Lumiere and didn't feel like she fit in much, which is why Gustave and his sister decided to take her, since they pretty much felt the same way. 2 weird kids helping out another weird kid. When it comes time for Gustave to take off on his expedition, Maël joins him, believing that with Gustave gone, there isn't much to live for anymore. At the end of the game, you have a choice. You can either fight as Maël, and defeating Verso will cause Maël to be just like her mother, to be stuck in the painting, bringing back all those we lost, and forcing Verso to keep on living a life he doesn't want to live. For Maël, the canvas is a world where she can have everything. A family that understands her, a body she can actually use. The canvas is her home. Verso. By the time I finished Clair Obscur, I honestly didn't know if I loved Verso or hated his guts. He's the most complex character of the game that I think I wanted him to be the villain, but after beating the game and digesting everything, I realized that I just wanted to frame him as a villain. But he's not. He suffers more than anybody in this story. The real Verso sacrificed himself for Alicia, who we find out is Maël. We don't know what the reason for this is, but it seems Alicia got involved with the writers and was supposed to die. The real Verso ended up protecting Alicia, but giving his life in the fire. When Eileen created the painted Verso, she created him to be just like the real Verso, but this had caused a conflict within the painted Verso. He feels he's just become a replacement for the real Verso when it comes to his friends Minoko and Esquier. He doesn't know if the way he thinks and acts is his own way or just the way the real Verso would be. The painted Verso just wants his life to end, but he didn't always think like this. Verso had met a woman during his time with Expedition Zero named Julie. Verso had mentioned during his time with Expedition 33 that he had somebody in mind if he had the ability to bring someone back. This, of course, is referencing Julie, and it seems during their time together, when Verso found out that him and his father were painted versions of themselves and immortal, they knew they couldn't tell the other expeditioners this, because 1, no one would believe them, and 2, in order to keep their family alive, they would eventually have to kill the other expeditioners. Julie started to become suspicious of Verso and Renoir and convinced 2 expeditioners to tie up Verso and question him. Verso, having no choice, had to kill the 2 expeditioners and Julie. You can find a journal that belongs to Verso not long after he killed Julie, stating he didn't want to do this, and once this was all over, he would be able to get his mother out of the painting and ask her to bring Julie back. It's clear that Verso never wanted the painting to be destroyed and lose the people of Lumiere. But towards the end of the game, and you're fighting the real Renoir, it becomes clear to Verso that keeping the canvas alive isn't a possibility. At this point in the game, you've kicked Eileen out of the painting, and even though her body is weak, she is still able to get back in the painting, helping Expedition 33 defeat Renoir. During the scene, you could see how Verso is feeling by just looking at his face. He knows no matter how many times he kicks his mother out of the canvas, she'll always try to find a way back in. She'll never get over losing Verso. This family will forever be caught in the circle of grief until the canvas is destroyed. He's tired. So tired. He just wants it all to end. At the end of the game, you have a choice. You can either fight as Maël, and defeating Verso will cause Maël to be just like her mother, to be stuck in the painting, bringing back all those we lost and forcing Verso to keep on living the life he doesn't want to live. At the end of the game, you have a choice. You can pick Verso, and Verso will fight Maël, forcing her out of the canvas. And Verso will comfort the small piece of the real Verso that's still in the canvas, telling him to stop painting, and it's okay to rest. With Maël out of the canvas, it's safe to ensure that Renoir had destroyed the canvas, meaning we've lost everybody. I was so mad at Verso with this ending. It gave me the feeling of I wish I'd sacrificed the one to save the many. But that's not right either. And all we're doing is just delaying the inevitable. For Verso, the canvas is a world where he lost everything. His father, sisters, and his mother are all gone. The canvas took everything from him. Verso is not the real villain of this story. He's the real victim of this story. Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was such a surprise this year. I honestly wasn't planning on playing this, and I picked it up on a whim, and it honestly was the most joyful and painful, in a good way, experience I have ever had, and I really hope with this video more people feel more inclined to play Clair Obscur. I really hope you all enjoyed the video and to expect more content coming out soon. Thanks, bye!